about this a lot. It's a cheat, you know what I mean? But look, the reality is you're right. £50,000, you're looking at, depending if you made the mistake of getting a student finance, and if you did, you're looking at 2.8, and if not, then you're looking at close to the 3 mark. Now, £3,000 a month. Okay, let's be real now, okay? A lot of you guys are from London because, it's local. And by the way, I appreciate everyone that's come out from outside London as well. £3,000 in London, that's not getting you very far. Is that fair to say? Now, £3,000, if you're getting a flat, a house on rent, a 2-bed, a 3-bed, you're looking at £2,000 minimum just on the rent. And you know what the reality is? We come from an environment, and I'm making a general statement here, and forgive me if this doesn't apply to you, but we come from an environment where our fathers, they looked after the council tax. They looked after the electricity and gas. They looked after the rent. So then when we grow up and we get to this age of, 24, 25, we get married, we get married to a sister. Now, it's like you're looking at your payslip and you're thinking, not only do I need to look after the sister, but what's this council tax, electricity, gas, rent? It's crazy. And most people disagree with me at the age of 21, 22, right? As soon as you get 24, 25, you get married. You'll be surprised how many messages I get saying, brother, you were right. Because that's the reality. And now, I'm not trying to scare you here, because I know it sounds scary. It's like, oh, well, what hope do I have? The reality is there's plenty of hope, and we'll go through that. The issue is this. Do you understand the numbers? Anyone in business will tell you, by the way, anyone in money will tell you, do the numbers. Do you understand how much money you're going to take home at the end of the month? Because a lot of people today are working on, you guys are working on promotions, right? You guys are working your jobs, and you want to be promoted quite soon. Inshallah, you get promoted. Now, again, front row. 50K you're on, and you get promoted to 70K. I answered this before, so you guys can't answer this. But how much does that take home a month? 70 grand. Huh? So now imagine this. You worked your backside off. You worked very hard. You got a 20K promotion, by the way, which most people will never see in their life because, let's be honest, 70K is a very high amount. And you made £1,000 more after working your backside off. Now, guess what? Now you've had children. You've got 2 children now, and, well, there's a cost with children, right? So now what? And this is when issues arise. And let's be honest, we brothers, we don't like talking to many people about our finances. And so I don't expect you guys to now start telling me, bro, listen, man, that's me, that's a me problem. I know how it is. The married brothers, we know, right? We don't like to talk to our wives about money. It's funny. Yesterday, I'll tell you a story. My wife said to me, she said, yeah, when we were going to have our child, you went a bit cheap on the pram. And you went a bit cheap, and you said you didn't want to, you changed the nappy on something. I'm sure the sisters would know, but it's like on a cupboard. And she was like, yeah, I really needed that. And I was like, listen, let's be real. Did you need that? She goes, nah, I'm just messing about. And I told her, at that point, I told her something. I said, that was when COVID happened. She goes, yeah. I said, my business, and I've documented this many times, so before some brothers come at me and say, your recruitment business isn't making peas, I've documented this. My business before COVID, let's say on average, was making £10,000 a month. As soon as COVID hit, we went to £400 a month. As soon as COVID hit. Did I share that with my wife? The first time she heard about it was yesterday, 3 years later. That's just me as a man. I don't like sharing my finances and my money issues and my problems with my wife. I like her to think that everything's okay. But if I'm being completely honest with you guys, most of you guys sitting here will not want to share your financial issues and your problems with your wife. Because we don't want our wife to think that we can't look after them. That's a fact, right? Tell me you disagree. Does anyone disagree? I was going to call you out if you did. But look, the main problem here is this. You have to understand your money. You have to understand your finances. And so when you're working your jobs, when you're carrying on and you think to yourself, many of you guys have left university or in university and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to get a career, and then I'm going to make 30 grand, I'm going to make 40 grand, I'm going to make 50 grand. The problem with that, the genuine problem with that is this. You're 21 years old, 22 years old, at a young age, you're making 30 grand. Look, it's a lot of money, right? You get to 26, 27, 28, you get married, you have children, it now doesn't sound like a lot of money. And unless you guys change your targets, unless you guys tell yourselves, you know what, I do want to start something for myself. I want to start a business for myself. Until you guys do that, how much can you make from a job? And if I know a lot of people will say to me, you know what, I don't like the fact, and I've had this before, I don't like the fact that you say everyone should start a business. Right? I've had this many times. And you know what? I put my hands up and I say, everyone will not be able to start a business. Everyone won't. But everyone can try. And that's all I ask of you guys, to just make an effort for yourselves, for your families, and for your children. Just try it. Because if you're 60 years old, and I want you to think about this now, you're 60, 65 years old, you're sitting there and your grandchild, he comes in, inshallah you have children and they have children, and he comes in and he says, what he's going to call you, say he calls you Pops, right? Pops, tell me some good memories of when you were younger. I want you guys to think about this now. Good memories of when you were younger. And you're there, 60, 65 years old, and you're saying, oh man, when I went Umrah, when I went on holiday, you know, when I got married to my wife. Some people that's good news, some people that's bad news. But the point is this. You will never say it was when I was working a job. You would never say, oh, that day I went on Monday and Mark told me, well done, mate, you've come in 10 minutes early today. You wouldn't say that, would you? But at that point, you would tell him all about the memories and everything like that. And so my point is this. You want to spend a lot of time creating memories. You want to spend a lot of time with your family, your children, your friends, creating memories, because that is the thing. And I'm not a billionaire now, but that's the thing that billionaires regret the most. And look into it. Read the books of billionaires. And what would they say? At 60, 65, 70 years old, what do you regret the most? They'll say, we regret not spending enough time with our families. That's what they regret the most. You know? And today, when we're working our jobs, and, you know, again, many of us here are Muslims, we want to be good to our parents, and I'm sure non-Muslims sometimes do want to be good to their parents as well. So we want to be good to our parents. Now, how much time do you spend with your parents? Real talk. Genuine question. Your mother, your father. I'm going to paint a picture for you now. Your mother, and may Allah protect all our mothers. Your mother is in a situation where she needs care. She is in a problem, she's in a situation where you need to look after her. You're married and you have 2 children, and so you cannot not work your job because you need to pay for bills, okay? Your mother gets diagnosed with a problem, and you need to look after her. Genuine question, can you? Because you're working a job. You have to look after your wife, you have to look after your children, otherwise what's going to happen to them? But your mother's in a situation where she needs care. And you don't know, like it might be her last 6 months. Like you don't know. Of course, Allah plans. And Allah's the best of planners. But you don't know. Then the last 6 months, imagine not being able to care for your mother and having to go to work. Because what else can you do? You've got no other option, right? So all I say is this. Plan for when or if that situation ever arises. And I'll give you an example. Last year, alhamdulillah, again, I gave shukr to Allah Azza wa Jal. I traveled a lot. Some of you guys may have seen from the social media, I went to Dubai, I went to Umrah, whatever sort of thing. Some of the best memories, the best things that I've done until my age, like until I'm 30 years old. 31 now, to be fair. I'm 31 years old, but the best memories of my life are spending time with my parents, spending time with my wife, my children. And that's the best thing. So last year now, I went to Umrah, I went to Dubai. And my mother, she didn't want to make hijrah, basically. She was like, nah, UK is sick. I like UK. I was like, all right, UK is sick. I was like, all right, you like the UK? She goes, I love the UK. All right. I said, do you want to go? Listen, I said, do you want to go Pakistan? We're from Pakistan. She said, no. UK, everything. She goes, I can go to town. And then I asked her a question. I said, Mom, what do you even do? She said, watch a bit of TV, go to town. Keeps me active. She could do that anywhere. And she went, no, still love it, UK. It got to the point where my mother just didn't want to really listen to me, to be honest with you. So I said to my mother, I said, look, let's negotiate, because I'm a salesman, right? So I said, let's negotiate. Come out to Dubai, okay? Come out to Dubai for a month in Ramadan. Help me move, okay? Help me. Yeah, that's how you get to your mothers. As long as they're helping you, they're happy. They'll do it. So I said, help me move. And she said, okay, fine, I'll come out to Dubai. Now, imagine this. First 3 weeks of Dubai in Ramadan, boys, I'm telling you, it was tough. Like, you know when your mother's just, nothing will make her happy. She's just, whatever you do, you could serve her like on a gold plate, she's going to be angry with you at this point. Because at the end of the day, my mother had listened to me and she was holding it against me for a little bit. And then the last 10 nights of Ramadan, they come. And, alhamdulillah, Allah Azza wa Jal, He turns hearts. That's a fact, man. And my brother, I remember he saying to me, why isn't mom listening? My brother's also in Sharjah, basically. And he said, why isn't mom listening, man? Like, it's so nice, this, that, and the other. And I said, listen, it's not us that turns the heart, man. It's Allah. You know what I mean? And that was a reminder to myself as well. And so my mom's there now, last 10 nights. She goes to the masjid, prays Taraweeh. First time, by the way, she's ever prayed Taraweeh. And she says, I made some friends. Some Pakistani aunties, man. I'm talking to them. They're nice people. And I'm like, yeah, mom, you can make friends here. Now I'm thinking this is a win. I've got her now, A couple of days later, she's, enjoying the time. And 3-4 days into the last 10 nights, she says, listen, I'm thinking, how much you reckon a house is in Sharjah? What? I'm confused now. I'm thinking, what? She goes, yeah, listen, why don't I just move here? But my mum was totally against it. Didn't even want to, And now think of it. Now I want you guys to think about this. Why am I saying this? I'm not telling you guys to buy a McLaren. I'm not telling you guys to buy a Lambo. No. I'm saying create memories with your family. Create an environment for your parents. Because the best memories last year was my mother coming to Sharjah, sitting with me, us having karak chai, loved it, by the way, and her saying, I'll be happy here. I want to live here. What could be a better thing for me than to have my parents move out to a country which is better for my children, my wife, and myself? But let me be honest with you, boys. That's going to cost a lot of money. Real talk. Like, I'm paying my own rent. I'm going to have to pay their rent. And my mom said she's not moving unless I pay for the UK rent. Right? Because she could demand that. She's my mother. So now I'm paying for 3 areas of rent. Well, how else am I going to do that if I can't afford it? And I'm not saying this in a boastful way. Wallahi, I'm not saying this in a boastful way. I'm saying the reality. Because you guys want to be in an environment, in a situation where you can pay for things and be like, yeah, mom, I got you. You're good. I'm taking you to an environment. Don't worry. Like, we're going to go and we're going to be okay. My mom and dad, they used to stress about money when I was young. I don't come from a household where my mom and dad had a lot of education and they had contacts and links and nothing like that. My dad was a taxi driver. My mom worked in a factory. It wasn't easy. But I realized today that it's memories, man. If you guys want anything from what I'm saying, I've spent money on I've bought cars, I've bought nice things. But if today you say to me, what are the best memories of your life? I would say taking my parents to Umrah. I would say going Sharjah, allowing my parents to make hijrah there. Taking my parents to Big Eid to do some qurbani, These are the things that you realize are the most important parts of your life. And that's why I say to you guys, understand that creating memories is important. But I'm going to address some pain issues for you guys that you don't think about, that I'm going to remind you of now. Because the problem is, we live our life on a day-to-day basis, not thinking about the problems. And until we realize there's a problem, we will never come up with a solution. Is that fair? Is that fair? Now listen, boys, I know you might be fasting, but is that fair? You need to understand your problems to then come up with a solution. Okay, cool. So, who goes to work? Who goes to their jobs and wakes up 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning? Don't be shy. Put your hands up, boys. Now, I used to do it as well, and so I totally understand. The pain you feel from 7 o'clock in the evening, unimaginable. You're upset. I have to go work tomorrow. Imagine this now. 7 o'clock in the evening, I'm already stressing about work. I'm thinking, I have to go sleep early, but then I don't want to waste my evenings. I want to chill a little bit. And then guess what? I'll end up sleeping at 1 o'clock, and now I'm thinking, it's peak in the morning. I have to wake up. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you go to your jobs, you come home, you come in the evenings, your mother asks you, what do you want for food? Your father asks you something, and you say, whatever, I'm tired. Imagine this. Your mother asked you a question, and you couldn't even respond in an appropriate manner because you were tired from your work. You were tired from your job. It's reality. It happens. It happens to the best of us. And the only reason I bring this up is because it's a problem. And we don't think about these things. We think that these things are not problems, but they are problems. Today you want to move, get out the UK. How many of you want to move out the UK right now? Woo! Let me see those hands. Higher. I want to see them. Inshallah. May Allah make it easy for you. If you want to move out the UK and you want to better your situation for your family and you want to have a better environment, nothing will happen until you do something. Think about that. Nothing will happen until you do something. So some people will ask me, bro, man, how can I start a business? I work a job. All right. So you're going to be the problem, be the reason you don't do something for yourself. Well, what's the solution? Work through lunch, work through evenings, work through weekends. In the beginning, when I started my recruitment company, and many of you guys know as me as someone who started his own recruitment company, do you really think I didn't work hard in the beginning? Someone asked me before, I worked for Thrifty in the evenings at a call center, and I was working in the days I would work on my business, and the evenings I was working for Thrifty in a call center because I needed to make ends meet. And the funny thing is, I just got married. In fact, I set my company up and got married in the same month. And so, when people say to me, I can't start a business because I'm working a job, don't ever let that be the reason that you don't do something for yourselves. You're better than that. Because the thing that you're going to regret when you're older is not starting something. That's what you're going to regret. Why didn't I just make the effort? I mean, what could have possibly gone wrong? Like, think about that for 1 second now. What could go wrong if you do nothing? Well, nothing and everything. Nothing and everything. Don't worry, that was right. But the point being is this. You don't do something, you don't start something, you do nothing for yourself, and you keep working in a comfortable environment. What happens when you are comfortable? Nothing. You just carry on. It's just fine. Bills are being paid. You put your problems at the back of your head. You go sleep thinking about the bills. You know, the 30th comes of every month and you're thinking, got to pay £2,000. I have to pay £1,500 in bills. I have to pay £1,800 in bills. £200 left, £300 left. Brothers, I say this because I was there, man. I was there working my job. And I know you guys do this, right? I was meant to be working and I'll be writing on my notepad. If I save £500 this month, and I save it for 12 months, and I save another 600, I could have £6,000 at the end of the year. And I used to think, yeah, that's how life is meant to be. At the end of the year, you've got £6,000. I'll tell you something, that's not how life's meant to be, man. And that's where that's where I had to change my mindset. Because by the way, you guys are probably much better savers than me. I was terrible. Can't save a penny. You know, my friends at the back, he'll tell you, I can't save anything, and I spend a lot of money. So, what did I have to do? I had to learn how to make more money. How to learn, how to understand. How do I make more money? But you know what the problem with that is? These days, everyone's teaching us something haram. You know, as Muslims, we kind of feel like stuck, man. We feel like no one really understands. And as soon as you start talking about money, it's bad. In fact, some of you guys right now will feel like, talking about money. It's not always about money. Money's, sometimes we should avoid talking about money, right? But listen, it's not about what you do with that money. It's about how many opportunities that money and how you can be a better Muslim once you have an element of money. Look after your parents. Take them for Umrah. Take them on. I mean, my mum now, she's got a gallbladder issue, right? She goes to me, next time book business for me. I said, all right, you want to go on business now? You're living that lifestyle. She goes, yeah, book business for me. I can't say nothing to her. She's my mother. But you know what the crazy thing is? I said to my wife, we'll go economy, we'll book her business. She goes, yeah, cool, we'll do that. But imagine just being able to give that opportunity to your mother. That's nice, man. Would you guys agree that's nice? Like just doing something nice for your mother, just doing something nice for your father. And so I had to change my mindset. I had to say, look, I can't save. I can't save anything. I'm terrible at saving. I made a lot of money. I've had hate for it as well. You were making so much money and you saved no money. I said, yeah, I saved no money. So I was making all this money in my recruitment job. I saved nothing. And then I realized, actually, I need to make more money. It has to be. There's only one way. So I left my job. I leave my job. I start a recruitment company from my living room. Nothing fancy. I didn't concentrate on my logo, on my website. I didn't concentrate on an email address, which, by the way, most of you guys do. Let's be real. You guys spend at least 1, 2, 3 weeks. You're laughing now. I know you're laughing, my brother. But 2, 3 weeks you spend at least on just picking a name. The amount of times I get people messaging me saying, bro, can you help me find a name? A name for what, bro? My business. All right. What's your name? Abdullah. Looks like you're calling it ABD Consulting, bro. Because it don't matter. It doesn't matter what the company name is. You know what matters? You concentrating on where you're going to make the money from. That's what matters. Because when you call a company, and let's say you call a company now, do you really think they care what your company name is? They don't care what your company name is. You call a company today and you speak to a business and they say, oh, you know, what do you do or anything like that? They're never going to judge you for your company name. And there are situations, by the way, that your company name does help, and I'm not denying that. But for you to be spending weeks and weeks on finding a company name is barbaric. You know what I did? You want to know where Frank Corey came from? Frank, I won't go into that one. Corey is the initials to my mother and father's first name. That's all it is. That's generally all it is. I just picked their first initials because it doesn't matter. What matters is the service you provide to your clients and what you do as business and what you do as work. So I started from my living room, and the first thing I did was I started calling companies and just banging the phones. Because nothing is going to make you money until you do something. And you know what? In the beginning, all I wanted to do was just make enough money where I wasn't working my job anymore, and I didn't want to go working a job because I hated it. 3, 4 months in, alhamdulillah, we started making good money, and I'll share it with you. March, I'll ask my accountant, he's smiling already because he doesn't want me to say these figures, but I'm going to say them. March, it was about 20 grand. April, it was about 20 grand. And May, it was about 20 grand. 6 months into starting my own recruitment company, did I think it was possible? No, 100% I didn't. Alhamdulillah, it came from Allah Azza wa Jalla, and I will say this one thing and one thing for sure. I started that business understanding my intention has to be, I start something to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jalla. If your intention is you want to start a business because you want to leave your job and you want to be closer to your parents and serve your parents and be closer to Allah Azza wa Jalla and pray your salah and go to the masjid and do reflection. If you want to do these things, are you telling me Allah isn't going to put barakah in your business? As long as the business is halal. Are you telling me Allah isn't going to open doors for you never imagined? 100%, man. I experienced it. The first time, where's my friend? He's sitting there next to me, huh? He's sitting there. We started my recruitment company and we were working together, and the first time I got one of my clients, I was playing FIFA with him. I was laying on my bed playing FIFA with him, and apparently I had started my business. That's what I told my parents anyway, just so they thought that I was doing something. But I wanted to take a month off. So I sent some emails, and one of the clients just turned around and said, yeah, we need people. Yeah, we're looking for someone. So I looked at him and I said, oh man, we're going to have to pause the FIFA game. I think I need to find someone. So we paused it. I found a few people. Qadarullah, alhamdulillah, they got the job. And at that point, that's where it clicked. Why don't I just believe in myself? Why don't I just think big? Why don't I just think it's possible and I can achieve it? Because I remember 6 months later, well, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me, and we started doing okay and the business was doing fine. I was in the gym and I asked someone, I was speaking to the guy, and the guy said, well, listen, when do you stop? When do you stop making money? And I said, I don't know, man, I haven't really thought of that question. And he said, what's enough? I said, I don't know. I guess if you're giving it back for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and if you're trying to help people as much as you can, there is no limit, right? And so I said to him, what if someone just makes like £100,000 a month? And he said to me, that's not possible. You've lost it. He said to me, you've lost it and you can't make £100,000 a month. Before I started my business, someone said to me, it's not possible to make £20,000 a month, you've lost it. In the middle of when I was starting my, and by the way, I'm not saying that I was making these numbers, I'm just giving you an idea. When in the middle, someone else said something wasn't possible. You will always have people around you that tell you it's not possible, your business is not possible, it's not possible for you to make this much, and it's not, the only reason it's not possible is because they can't fathom it. That's no disrespect to them. The doors just haven't opened up in their mind. It doesn't mean it has to be the same for you. It doesn't mean that. You can achieve more. You can make £100,000 a month. You think someone making £1 million a year started making £1 million a year thinking he can't make £100,000 a month? You really think that? You think he was thinking, I'm going to make £3,000, £3,000 a month, and I'll just end up on 100 grand? That don't happen, my brothers. I promise you guys, that doesn't happen. You start putting a target into your head. You say, okay, I want to make, for example, let's ask someone, how much do you want to make a month? £1 million. How are you going to make that £1 million?
Carry on working on my business, put in the work.
You work in recruitment. This brother works in recruitment. Shout out. How many placements do you need to make £1 million a month?
Depends on the level of the placement, but if we're looking at, let's say, one place of 5k, then divide that by 1 million. That's enough.
Okay. So the brother said, for anyone who didn't hear, barakallah feek, by the way, £1 million divided by £5,000. I love this brother, by the way. I'm just going to say, the point is we haven't done the numbers. We haven't even worked it out. That's why, let's be honest, right? You say you wanted to make £1 million a month, but we haven't done the numbers. Because actually, if you said to me, oh, you know what, I want to make £100,000 a month, I would say, fab, let's work backwards now. What do you need to do? How many times do you need to do it? And how many times do you need to make the placements or whatever you're doing? How many times for you to achieve that? That's how we would work. So let's say now, someone's target is £50,000 a month. Now, I know for a lot of people that would be like, well, that's not possible, that's a lot, whatever. Look, just bear with me. Someone would work backwards. So you would say £50,000 a month is my target. If whatever I am doing gives me a fee in recruitment, in social media, you're providing some consultancy services, you're making £4,000 from one service, you need to make that service 10 times, or what is that again? 12 times, 48. So now, if you make that fee 12 times, then you get your £50,000. But don't worry, I'm not going to do that. Oh, well, if you times this much, you're going to have this much money. The point is this, if you yourself can make £10,000, then you need to hire someone, right? You need to bring someone in. Maybe you need to give them 10%, 20% commission. Then do the numbers, then do the maths. The point is this, nobody does the numbers. Nobody does the maths. You asked me today, how much money do you need to make in a month, and then what's your figures, and then what's your sales? How much do you need to do? These things are important, man. And so when I was thinking to myself, and I said to my friend, I still remember this, I want to make £40,000. It was April, and I said, I want to make £40,000 in October. I wish I was mentoring myself back then, because I would have said, why are you thinking so small? And that's not for myself, by the way. I'm not saying that because £40,000 is not enough. It's actually a lot of money. But I'm saying that you're capable of achieving more. You can do more. But if you have achieved, now think about this. My mindset only allowed me to think this. In 6 months, I got to £20,000 a month. And in another 6 months, roughly, I was saying, oh, I want to make another £20,000. I had already done that, though. Why was I thinking so small? So when I started my business, the biggest mistake I made is I was thinking so small. I was thinking small. But another reason to why I saw some small success in my business was because I did it for 5 years, man. I ran my business for 5 years. You guys see me now on social media talking about my things. I got on social media 2 years after starting my own company. When did I get on social media? You can go back on my videos, it's COVID. That's when I got on social media. I was running my business for 2 years. How many people are willing to work on one business for 2 years? Ask yourself, honestly. Because it's not many. You know what questions I get to myself? Bro, how much money can I make in month 3? How much money can I make in month 6? Bro, start first, man. Start. Don't worry about that. In business, we never talk about how much money we're going to make in month 3 or month 6. We never do that. You know what we measure? The things we can measure. What's your output going to be like? How hard are you going to work? The measurables. If it's you're going to call clients, how many times are you going to do that? If it's you're going to talk to candidates, how many times are you going to measure the things you can measure? Don't measure money, because money will come after you put the effort in on a consistent basis. So if I speak to 50 companies every single day, and I speak to them over 365 days, over a year, I will get clients that want to work with me. The chances are very, very high. I don't want to say I guarantee it. I pretty much guarantee it. You're going to get clients. But the problem is, today with social media, everyone wants money quickly. How can I make 10 grand or 20 grand in 3 months? So my brothers, you would have already made the mistake of jumping from thing to thing to thing and thinking it's failing and it's not working, and some brothers would have jumped on ACN and some brothers would have jumped on something else. And look, man, whatever you're doing, make sure it's permissible and stay on it. Work hard over a long period, because when you work hard over a long period, you leverage what you're doing. Now listen to this. I know some of you guys are fasting, but this is important. When you work on your business in the beginning, the first year, it seems like nothing is happening. Nothing is working. You know, I can't make money from anywhere. Year 2, year 3, you know what ends up happening? The client you spoke to in year 1 calls you. The person you spoke to in year 1, he calls you. And he says, yeah, listen, I need something. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I don't think that was going to happen. That happens. It happened to me. Month 6, month 7, I'm calling someone, and 2 years later, the client calls me and says, I need 3 people. 3 people he needed, and I just kept in touch with him for 2 years. And then eventually, after 2 years, he said, yeah, listen, I'll work with you. So I'll ask you a question. When you're buying something, you buy from the people I said it there, boys. You buy from the people you trust. It's a fact. Think about that from every single business that you guys are working on right now. Do your customers trust you? If you've got 300 people following you on social media and you're selling pens or candles or creams, you think people trust you? No, I don't think they do, because you've got 300 followers. It's unfortunate, but you're judged by how many followers you have. You call someone and you say, your name is Muhammad. Hello? Muhammad speaking. You do the English accent, obviously. And then you say, I need such and such, and I need such and such. And he says, no, I don't need it. No, whatever, get off the phone. You call again and again and again. He doesn't remember your name in the beginning, but guess what? The 6th time, he remembers your name. He knows you. Muhammad from AB Consulting, right? So the point is this. If you guys are working a business right now and you're thinking, people aren't buying or something isn't happening, remember number 1 thing, people buy from the people they trust. If your customers don't trust you, they're not buying from you. Remember that always. How do you build trust? Okay. You build trust by keeping in touch. You build trust by speaking to people. For example, when I speak to a company and I speak to the receptionist, I won't just tell her or him to put me through to whoever I speak to. I will say, let's say her name's Lindsay. I'll say, Lindsay, hey, it's Abu Musa. Can I speak to... I think my Siri just went, oh no, that was yours. I will say, Lindsay, Abu Musa, how are you? How's things? Just a quick one. Is so-and-so available? Now she might be like, I don't care about this guy. I just get off the phone. The 5th or 6th time, when I say Lindsay, she will listen to me. Because I'm taking her name and I am speaking to her. And I promise you this much, when you take someone's name and you address them by their name, they listen. The same way today, if I asked you, let's say someone here is from East London. There's a couple of people from East London, right? Now when I said East London, I want you to think about this. Your ears picked up and you went, East London. As soon as you say something which is relatable to that person listens. So you have to create relationship between you and the customer. And that doesn't have to be over the phone sales. That can be on the emails. That could be on social media when you're selling a product. You have to build trust when you're trying to sell a product. And that was the main thing for me. When I started my recruitment company, I was building trust. In fact, the first year was difficult. I worked the hardest I've ever worked in my first year of recruitment. But let's be honest, boys and sisters, we're not willing to do that. We're not willing to put in the effort. We're not willing to work hard over a consistent period over a year. That's the problem. And so the solution is not to work 100% day 1, day 2, day 3, and just work your back. No. Do you work consistently? I would much rather you guys did 10%, just 10% every single day than put in 100% for 1 month. Nothing will happen if you put in 100% for 1 month. In fact, we don't believe in it, but you're trying to fluke your way basically. Yeah, you're just hoping. But it's not in your control. And so consistency, building trust with your customers, and then understanding their problems. You have to understand the customer's problems. Because only when you understand someone's problems can you sell something. Right? Now, whatever business you guys are doing right now, think about this. How are you solving that person's problem? And remind that customer that they have a problem. We all have problems, by the way. All of us. I have problems. You guys have problems. Mine might be, health related. Been trying to lose weight for a little while. It's not going down well. The point is this though. I've got my problems. You need to think about what problems you're sorting out for the people, for the customers. Once you understand the problem and you're like, yeah, listen, I'm going to sort this problem out, you need to reiterate that as many times as possible and then close them. Because the person is closed once you remind them of their problems. So I'll tell you something. After 5 years of working on my recruitment company, now today, alhamdulillah, shukr to Allah Azza wa Jal, after 5 years, I'm now setting up other businesses. Now. Before that, I didn't. But how many people want to have 5 businesses tomorrow? How many people want to have multi-million companies in a year? Consistency, man. There's no magic trick. So 5 years later, now I'm setting up other companies and I'm going to Pakistan and setting up a call center. Want to know the honest truth? I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. But I'm going to give it a shot. Why? Because maybe now I have some capital that I can throw at a business and hope it works. I see that it could work, but I'm not worried. I'm not thinking, if it fails, what am I going to do? How am my family going to eat food? I'm not thinking about that. But let's be honest now, boys. I was there, and I was facing these same problems where I was worried. If I start something and it fails, then what? And the amount of times that question will come into your brains, well, what if something goes wrong? What if it fails? What if it just doesn't work? You're so worried about what happens when you fail, you're forgetting how to succeed. And you stop thinking about how to fail. Because when you think about what happens when you fail, you know what you're going to say? You're working a job. You're working a job and you're going to say, I'm going to set up a business. I'm going to give myself 3 months. I'm going to work hard for 3 months. And if nothing happens, I'm going to go back to my job. You were planning on failing the whole time. You weren't planning to succeed. You were planning to fail. You were already thinking, what's going to happen when I fail? Think about that. You were planning, when I fail, I'm going to do this. So when you're setting something up, when you're starting a business, don't think, I'm going to do something. When I fail, I'm going to do this. Because month 1, week 1, 3 weeks in, when things start going wrong, you know what you're going to say? I was always going to go work my job anyway. So you're going to tell your mom and your dad and your friends. That's what you're going to tell them. You're going to make excuses to yourselves. And you guys are your biggest enemy. Because we make excuses to ourselves. I used to do it all the time. And I learned I need to stop making excuses for myself. If you're not doing something, if you're not getting up in the morning, if you're not working in the evenings, if you're not doing something, there is no one to blame but you. And that's another point. How many of us struggle with motivation? How many of us want to do something but we can't be bothered? A lot of us, right? A lot of us, we struggle with motivation. Listen, I've got this idea. I believe it's £1 million idea, but I haven't done anything about it. You know, the amount of times I had these ideas from 16 until 25. Be honest, man, I had a lot of ideas. The difference between me and someone who was successful at the time was the fact that I never actually implemented my ideas. We have a lot of ideas. In fact, the crazy thing is, if you can't come up with a business idea, you guys will actually think to yourself, I can't come up with a business idea, so what shall I do? I'll tell you something. Why don't you open up the internet and ask a couple of questions? Top 100 business ideas. Top 50 business ideas. Ask ChatGPT. That thing answers everything these days. Ask it. But a lot of us will say, oh, business idea is not coming. I don't know what to do. But think, research, spend time. And I'm not saying, by the way, that when you search for an idea, the idea is just going to come to you and you're going to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to start that idea. No. But actually what you're thinking is you're actively coming up with ideas. You're actively thinking about coming up with ideas. So if you're struggling with coming up with an idea, the best thing you could do is research how to come up with ideas and different ideas, because maybe you're going to put a Islamic twist to it. Maybe. Anyone sets up a oud shop, I'm coming for you, I promise you. So after you come up with an idea, then you need to implement it. And look, man, we struggle with that. Because most of us are not willing to put in the effort. We're not willing to work in the evenings when we come back from our jobs. We're not willing to work the weekends. And so why? Why is that? You know why that is? Because you haven't understood your why. You haven't understood your why. Why are you setting something up for yourselves? What is your why? Is it your mother? Is it the fact that you want to be good to her? Is it your wife? You don't want her to work. You know, you want your wife to be at home and chill. You know, setting you guys up for danger here, boys. The point is this. What is your why? You need to realize that. For me, as soon as I had a child, it changed, man. I was like, I need to get out. UK, finished. Dubai, here I come. Before you guys come for me, Sharjah. So now I was looking to move to Sharjah. I understood my why. It was my child, it was my family, it was my parents, and I understood it. You guys, if you haven't taken the steps to work towards your goals and your businesses, you haven't understood your why. You don't know why you're doing it. In the beginning, what did I say? Memories, right? It's crazy. I didn't even plan this speech, but it's coming around in a circle. I said memories. So, if your goals were to have a Ferrari, or a Lamborghini, or something, or a Rolex, whatever it might be, I promise you one thing. Once you attain that, you don't care. It's not motivating. Genuinely, it's not motivating to have your motivation based on a materialistic thing. It's not. It's just no one, you don't care. I bought an E-Class when I was 22 years old, and it was brand new at the time, and I thought, yeah, I'm big. I made it in the game now. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. As soon as you buy a nice car, nobody compliments it. So if you're looking for compliments, no one does it. You know, they look the other way because they don't want you to feel like you've achieved. That happens, you know. How many times have you guys been in central London and someone driving a beautiful car and you're thinking, don't want to look too long. The guy might be thinking, this guy's staring. So you guys, let's be honest now. And I'm talking from experience. I am talking from experience. I felt like I needed compliments from people. I felt like I needed people to be happy with what I was doing. I felt like my mum and dad should go to a family function and say, my son's got a business. That would make me happy. My motivation was in the wrong place. Completely in the wrong place. And that's why I couldn't get myself up in the morning. That's why I couldn't start a business. That's genuinely why I couldn't do something. So when you are thinking, why can I not wake up in the morning, and why can I not work in the evenings, and why can I not work in the weekends? You haven't understood your why. Is it your parents? Is it your kids? Is it your family? Once you understand your why, you will do it. And once you understand your why, you have to remind yourself all the time of your reasoning of having the why. Let's say now you're making money. You want to start a business, but you don't have money. If you don't have money, what do you do? What business can you start if you have no money? Question which gets asked a lot. The best business you could start if you have no money, if you can't give money, what can you give? Someone answer it. Good, services. But what else? What exactly are you giving in return? You have to understand this. There we go. You're giving time. In return for money, because you don't have it, and there's a point where we don't have it, you have to give something. And so you have to give your time. In exchange for your time, you're going to get paid. Now, when you work in a job, it's peak, £12, £14. When you're making 50 grand, it's £25 an hour. And you think you're the man. But if you really want to step it up, the first level to that after the job is you do something for yourself, self-employed. You give someone a service. If you haven't got money, you give someone a service. Now, if you give someone a service, you charge money in return. Do you have to leave your job? No, don't leave your job. But if you're making an extra £2,000-3,000 a month, maybe you could save that money. Don't be like me, because I didn't save, but maybe you could save that £2,000-3,000, and you want to get to a point where you can save 50 grand. 50 grand, I would say, is that beautiful number where you can chuck 10 grand in a business and not care. Because you don't want to care when you're trying to start a business about the money. Genuine question. Let's say you've got £15,000 in your bank account and it's going to cost you £10,000 to start a business. It's going to take a lot of confidence to start that business, Because you're thinking, I saved 15 grand after 3 years and now I'm going to spend that in a month or 2 months to set up a business. It's difficult. So I would say £50,000 is that magical number where you're like, okay, I can spend £10,000 starting a business and I won't really care. How do you do that? If you don't have money, you give someone a service, you charge money in return, and you make sure your fees are high. Always keep your fees high. So, my brothers and sisters, I will say, remind yourselves of the things that matter to you in life, and I am going to conclude in this, and we will obviously have a Q&A. You need to understand your why. You need to understand why you're doing what you're doing today. You guys see my social media. I don't talk about having a nice car, having a nice house. Look at me. I'm making this, I'm making that. I'll always remind you of something. You want to be in a situation where you can pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla as much as you want. You want to be in a situation where in Ramadan you can take 10 days off and not worry. You want to be in a situation where you're praying Jummah and you don't have to worry about Mark saying, listen, brother, you're 10 minutes late. That's what you want to be. You want to be in a situation where you can go to Umrah 4 times a year. 4 times a year. That sounds crazy. Why not? You want to be in a situation where you're in control of your life, and that's all I'm asking you to do. And if you are working jobs right now, let me be very clear. It is not a problem. In fact, I would say it's a good thing because you learn from it. You learn from your jobs, you learn from everyone around you, and you learn from it. But just make the effort. Try it. Get to the next level. Understand your why. And if you guys want to leave the UK and you want to move to a hotter country, for example, let's pretend that's the only reason, then you're going to have to work, man. And you're going to have to understand your why. And you're going to have to get up every single day. And you're going to have to do it for your family. I'll give you guys, anyone have questions? Any questions that I'm happy to answer right now? Don't be shy now. Mike? Yeah, sure, bro.
So, my question is, let's say you've got a business idea but you don't really know how to implement it in terms of so for example, let's say I've got an idea where I want to do, this is an example of something.
Sure.
Lots of people working from home, you want to start like a mental health business where you target the employees, see how they're doing.
Amazing.
You want to make sure how they're doing each time, but you don't really know how to implement and start that business and set a business plan and really start it off. The whole thing that you just said here is about starting the engine, starting doing something about it. Yeah? So if I've got a problem, I'm thinking, okay, how do I target, how do I create a service, how do I do this, how do I do that? What's the best way to go about it?
Okay, good. What I would say is the beautiful answer and the ugly answer. And you guys aren't going to like the ugly answer. The beautiful answer is start because you learn from your mistakes. Without starting, nothing happens. The ugly answer is this. Knowledge is Good. Knowledge is power. After university, how much of us continue to seek knowledge? I'm not talking about Islamic, in terms of the dunya. How much of us continue to up our skills after university? Very few. But knowledge is power, right? Now, how do you go and get the knowledge? There's actually a lot of resources online. In terms of, by the way, I'm not talking about go YouTube a video. I'll give you an idea. 2 days ago, I'm looking at purchasing something. It's 3 hours, a Zoom session. And I'm paying over £1,500 for 3 hours. And it's about how you buy small businesses, right? And sell them on. It's just 3 hours. I needed to know something. So I'm paying for that, right? Now, some people will understand that they need to upskill and they need to learn something. And if you cannot give someone something, because there's two things here. You go to someone and you say, I can give you something. Can you give me knowledge in return? Right? The second one is, I can't give you something. Can I give you money and you teach me something? And that is what you have to do sometimes, you know? And so if you are definitely like fully stuck, I would go online. I would find someone. I would find a mentor. I would, whoever it is, I would find someone and I would pay for their services. That's what I would do. Look, I'll give you an idea. I'm from an Asian family. My mother worked, in a factory. My father was a taxi driver. Do you think they educated me and taught me things to do with money? Do you think my mother and my father have immense love for me? My mother and father are amazing and I love them to bits. But you know what? My mother and father can't be right when it comes to everything and when it comes to business and finance and stuff like that. They can only teach me things they understand. That's fair, right? So sometimes you have to go to someone and say, can you teach me something? Because how else are you going to learn? But once you have that knowledge, once you have the information, you are losing out a lot of money not having the information you need. Because your business, if it can make 50, 60,000 pounds a year, and it costs, for example, 500 or 1,000 pounds to get some information from someone, it could be anyone, by the way, it's completely worth it. That's what I would say. So I know obviously some brothers are going to be a bit shy and whatnot. Sisters, if you have, is there any notes? Okay, if we can obviously share the notes with them, please go on.
What is your opinion on partnerships in businesses? Do you recommend it?
So I would say partnerships are good. I've never done partnerships with anyone, but I would say they're good if you're starting off. If you're starting off, they're good, but you have to understand what's everyone bringing to the table. Because, partnerships can get ugly sometimes. I've never done a partnership. I will in the future, inshallah. But in the beginning, you just want to be sure that, one, you really trust that person. Two, is that person going to encourage you to do more and work harder and put more in? If the answer to that is yes, if you feel like there's more benefit, then do it. And if it means that alone, for example, you won't do something, then yeah, it's a good thing. And I'll give you an idea. I actually started my recruitment company with two of my friends. And though it wasn't a partnership, and I said that anything that they make, I would give them a very high commission. That's what we agreed. And I would teach them how to do recruitment. What I learned from that experience was them two being there meant I had to turn up. Right? Them two being there meant I had to turn up. Because if I didn't turn up, then it just looked silly because I was the main guy. So I guess it does have accountability when you have a partnership. Depends that if that person is bringing enough to the table. That's what I would say. Questions, brothers, questions. Pick my head, please. Where's the mic? Oh, okay. Sorry, bro, go. Barakallah feek.
From the context of maybe a lot of us brothers here make hijrah, a lot of us might be stuck in either we have another business or a full-time job, and we are lacking to give the effort for the current business. I'm sure a lot of brothers doing recruitment here.
Sure.
How do we break out that mindset? Because a lot of us might be working from home, and we can put more time in. We could get up earlier. We just don't. How do we break out that mindset? Because it goes back to the why, right? And so, how do you break out that mindset? How do you turn the button on?
How do we do that? You understand the?
We do it regardless.
You understand the?
Why?
You understand the why. You understand the why, bro. Do you have a family? You have children? That's your why, bro. You have to think about that. You know? How many of us have daughters? I don't have a daughter. Inshallah, in the future. You know, it's not to say it's any different for sons, because look, we want them to be in a good environment, but I'm going to paint a picture for you. In the UAE, in Sharjah, I get into a lift. My wife, she wears niqab, right? I'm with my son. I get into the lift. Youngsters, 16, 17, 18, that sort of thing. Locals, by the way, right? They don't get into the lift. Why? Because I'm with my wife. Interesting. She's given respect. She goes to wherever she wants. She never feels uncomfortable. Why? It's praised. She's doing something which is praised. And in a Muslim environment, she's praised for it. And listen, I don't talk to that many sisters. In fact, none. But I know that it's difficult in the UK. It's difficult. You're getting judged left, right, center. You go get a samosa chart from the local man and he starts judging you. He starts talking to you in a different way. It's not fair. But in the UAE, honestly speaking, you get treated with respect. Now, why do I say this? You've got children. Okay? The children are seeing the mother being respected and spoken to a certain way because she's doing something which is praiseworthy. Your children are seeing that. What do you think your children are going to do? Follow in the footsteps of her mother. Follow in the footsteps of their mother. They're going to say, this deen thing, you know, if I'm praying, everyone's like, good. Everyone's happy. If you're wearing the garb, oh, yeah, wow. If you're, dressed as a Muslim, everyone gives you salam. The police officer stops you, but you're wearing Islamic clothes and, the person speaks to you with respect. I'm not saying it's all about outer appearance before someone comes to me, but I'm saying your children are seeing that the mum and dad are being respected for being Muslims and practicing their religion. So what are they going to do? They're going to do that as well, bro. They're going to want to wear niqab or hijab or, they're going to want to do these things. My son now wants to go to the masjid because there are a lot of kids there and he likes playing with them. My son now sees that people speak to me maybe a certain way because I am practicing my religion, and maybe I will stop at a roadside and pray salah. And he'll find that amazing. He'll be like, oh wow, someone just came and maybe put something in front of you to protect you, or whatever the reason, whatever it is, but he finds that fascinating. Your children are learning every single day, and if you have children, I will say that's your biggest why, man. You have to understand that. And if you want a good future for your children, if you want your children to be raised as Muslims, and you want your children to be good to their parents, that's your biggest why. That's what I would say. Next question. Mike, where's the mic? Wa alaikum salam.
So my question is, for someone who has a service-based business,
Mhm.
children business, how do you charge the right price so that you have consistent customers instead of just a one-time customer?
Okay. How do you make sure you have the right price? What I would say is pricing yourself high is always better than pricing yourself low. And that I would say is a general rule. Pricing yourself high is always better than pricing yourself low. I'm not saying most of you guys watch The Apprentice, but the team who always loses is the team that has the lowest margins. They sell so much, but then, that one guy, they had a high margin and they sold 5 things and they won. High margins always win. That's what I would say, one. And also you have to market yourself as an expensive whatever you're doing. Marketing is everything. Who speaks Urdu and Hindi here? Okay, so jo dikhta hai wo? There we go. Jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai. Now what does that mean? Don't worry, I'll translate. That means if you see something, it sells. So now, you have the worst service in the world. The worst service in the world. But if people are seeing it, if it's in front of people will buy. Because they'll say, why not? Maybe it's all right. Maybe it's not that bad. Whatever the reason is. But the best product in the world, the best service in the world, if no one sees it, no one buys it. You know what I mean? So marketing is essential, price high, and Inshallah, that helps. Hope you guys aren't feeling tired. Now we'll end up in about 15 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes, because obviously I know some of you might be fasting and we need to pray salah as well. So inshallah, we'll finish off in about 10 minutes. So.
The question is, let's say one wants to find a mentor. How do they go about finding the right mentor or a capable enough mentor? And how much are you looking to, how much are you looking to pay that money so I'm
Okay, so mentoring is a tough one because it totally depends on you, right? Say, for example, there is someone who wants someone to mentor them. You might be in a situation, and I'm going to keep it quite straightforward. Let's say, for example, you're someone who knows the GCSE equivalent to what we're talking about here. Someone in A levels can teach you something, right? Or someone maybe who is in a higher level in their GCSEs could maybe even teach you something. So it's not necessary that you have to go to, I don't know, James Cant or Peter, or whatever his name is, or someone to get mentored by. In fact, there are a lot of people, for example, you're not in business right now. See, if I wasn't in business right now, I would just go to anyone who runs a business. And I would just say, can you just teach me a couple of things like tax? How does tax work? You know, when my friends are at the back and I'm going to mention something interesting, but I didn't understand that I would have to pay tax like 3 times if I have my own company, like corporation tax and then, income tax and then you get tax and then tax. I'm like, bro, when am I going to see the money? You know, these things, we have to understand them. And so I would say is, what level you know, go to the person above you, whatever that is, whatever they can share with you, because guess what? They're more inclined in having conversations with you compared to someone, for example, let's be honest now, you see someone on social media, they've got 50k followers, etc., etc., etc. They're much more difficult to get in touch with. Let's be real now. But the local cafe, the local business, the local shop that sells whatever, I promise you, man, they could teach you a lot. So it just depends on your level, and that's what I would do. You have to be active, man. You have to put yourself out there. If you just want to pass the mic there, brother. Just there, bro. Oh, you got a question? Have you got a question?
Go ahead.
Thanks.
I'm from Leicester today, so
Barakallah
very
feek.
nice.
Barakallah feek.
I've just got a quick question around, in recruitment, so the
Sure.
sales schools. A lot of us obviously work with parents and finance stuff like that, so it's quite difficult to kind of put the outreach in during the working days. How would you go about solving that kind of issue?
So why is it difficult?
Working meetings, you got your own deadlines at work, things like that.
Do you have some free time?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what I would say is this. I give this analogy, and I'm sorry if you don't play cricket. I am really sorry. But imagine playing in a cricket ground or a football ground and just doing some little touches or little something, playing a few shots. You will not score a goal or hit a 6 until you're there. If you're sitting in the crowd and just clapping, nothing will happen. I'll explain the analogy. It might be a bad one. The point is this. You starting and doing something is better than doing nothing. You making 1 call a day or 2 calls a day is better than nothing. So don't target yourself and compete with others that are making 50 calls a day. Make 3 calls a day during your lunch hours. Or just go outside for 5 minutes and make a quick call. It's all about, 1, understanding your why. Understanding you need to do this. 2, making it work and understanding, actually, if I do something, it's better than nothing. And I promise you one thing, bro. Because you say you're doing recruitment. You make 3 calls, just 3, every single day, over 6 months. I am, as someone who is experienced in this sector, know that I am very confident you will have a ton of clients. Just 3 calls a day. So now the question is, can you do 3 calls a day? Inshallah.
My question would be, obviously, I'm assuming you know quite a few wealthy or well-off people. What would you say is the difference or the habits that they take on rather in comparison to a normal layman, average person? What would you say is their routine or like their habits that they take on? What's different than most people?
Allahumma barik, that's an amazing question. I don't know that many wealthy people, but I will tell you something. You know the rich? They don't work hard. They don't work hard. Like, honestly speaking, The people who have money don't work hard. Actually, you have to work hard in the beginning because what? We don't have money. So we have to give our time. But the wealthy, the rich, what do they do? What did I say? I'm buying a course on? Buying small businesses. 50 grand, 100 grand, buy a business, fix it up, sell it on. Again, it is much easier making £100,000 if you have £100,000 than to make £100,000 with zero. It's much easier making £1 million if you've got £500,000 than making £1 million when you've got zero. So the wealthy have ammo, they have money. So the wealthy just have to, let's say you've got, I think, this kid, he's on it, he's going to start a business, looks good, great, fantastic. You know what? I'll give you £10,000, start a business, I'll go 50-50 with you. You'll be like, yeah, why not? I'll get 10 grand to start a business. All right, go on then. For example, I'm sitting down, I just gave you money, and you just made, in essence, you're now going to make me money, right? That's what wealthy do, man. The wealthy do not work hard. So I hope that answers it.
So you said that the wealthy don't work hard, but obviously to be wealthy, you need to work for business. So, my question would be, what would be the main habits would you say? What's your routine that you take?
I think, again, I'll be honest with you, I don't work hard. You guys work harder than me. In fact, I would say it's not, this whole malarkey of wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. Of course, listen, we wake up for Salatul Fajr, so obviously we're going to wake up for Fajr, you know what I mean? But the point is like this whole malarkey of like wake up this time and go sleep this time and read a book. Okay, fantastic. That's great. I'm sure that really helps. But you know what really helps? Just having an understanding of what makes money. Understanding and education of how money works is what gets the people to make money. So, for example, I know if I start a business today, which is a subscription model, and I get 2,000 members, and it's, making, it's £20 a month, for example, and I get 2,000 members, that's £40,000 a month, okay? Now, £40,000 a month times 12 is £480,000 a year. £480,000 a year, if I sell that company, I might get over £1 million, at least. So now, is it hard to get 2,000 people to pay £20 for something? No, it's not. Barakallah feek. Any other questions? There's a brother there, sorry. The sisters, it's just notes, if that's okay. It's on the right.
Assalamu alaikum. Say someone has got hit at 50 grand, 100 grand, they're ready to start a business, and they obviously hijrah in mind. Do you think that going straight to Sharjah to do whatever they want to do is a good idea, or play it safe, UK, the laws, the environment?
Look, I think that's probably going down more of a, there's Islamic reasons behind that. If your understanding is that you need to or you should have done hijrah, or you should as soon as possible, then of course you do as soon as possible, right? If you're asking me from a financial perspective, then of course it makes sense to start something, to keep it going, however, if you now, for example, you want to move to the UAE, would you set up a company in the UAE or would you set a company up in the UK?
UK.
Don't make that mistake. You set up a company up in the UAE. Why? Because you're going to be paying a lot less tax, basically, right? So obviously you would set up a company up in the UAE based on the fact that you're living there. If you're planning on living there and moving there and stuff like that, then I would set up a business in the UAE. That makes more sense, right? But if I'm living in the UK, that's different. So that's what I would say. What I would say though is you should try to start something, make a little bit of money. Just, again, it is subjective. You might have children, you might have a family, wife, etc., which obviously means you need to have some leeway. But if you've got 100 grand in the bank account, but why are you here, man? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I would say. Look, it is a bit subjective, but I will try to make a little bit before I do a big step like that. There's a brother just at the end. If we can just get the mic. Also, whilst we're there, is there a Hafiz of Quran here? Someone going to lead the Salah? Inshallah, you're leading Salah. Yes, wa alaikum salam.
What things should you consider when leaving your main job to consider your side hustle full time?
Sorry, bro, could you just repeat that question?
Yeah. What things should you consider when leaving your main job to consider your side hustle full time?
I think.
Especially if the income is with the income of the side business is seasonal.
Okay, so the income from the side business is seasonal. I would say that as long as, again, it's a subjective one based on your own experience, like if you've got children, etc., right? But I would say that if your bills are covered, if you've got a little bit in the bank, then you should try to go full time. You know, I think have confidence, but again, it's subjective, man. Look, your outgoings might be £2,000 a month, right? And your side hustle is making £1,000. So if I tell you now, leave your job, start your side hustle, 2 months later, you're going to be knocking on my door saying, listen, mate, I left my job. What do I do now, So I think it's a little bit subjective. What I would just say is, as soon as your bills are being covered, as soon as you have some element of 6 months of savings, I think 6 months of savings is probably a good start. I hope that answers that. It's okay? I don't know if I'm missing the brother. Oh, yeah, sorry, it is the brother at the back. Sorry. Okay, let me just answer a couple of the sisters' questions. Is it possible to grow your business without putting our face on the internet? Allahumma barik. It's good. We're on to the right tracks here. I would say yes, most definitely. Because, again, there is an element of money involved. But for example, today on social media, I could put out a post with someone, pay £1,000 and get that post seen by maybe 2 million people, right? And it could just be a post of information. So I would say, yeah, definitely. Like, you don't have to put your face in it. You can just market your product, your services, your business. Your face definitely doesn't have to be involved at all. And there are a lot of ways where you can market. Of course, we can talk ages about marketing, so I won't go into too deep. But you can pay people to really get your products and services out there in front of a lot of people. A lot of people are not willing to pay £1,000 to a page to get the product in front of a lot of people because they think it doesn't work. But if your return on that product is £1,000, completely worth it. So yes is the answer to that. Is it complicated to start a business in the UAE? I was once. Okay, so is it complicated to start a business in the UAE? The answer to that is no. It took me, I think, 6 weeks to start a company in the UAE. It cost me £5,000 or £6,000 to start a company in the UAE. It's not difficult. Again, assuming you've got a British passport or, I'm starting to get a bit dizzy now. But yeah, it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. So £5,000-6,000 and 5-6 weeks is how long it takes. I used a company called Trade License Business. So if you're interested in setting up, you can use them. They were good to me. There's also a brother called Hamza, who, this is going to be on YouTube, I assume, some part. So I'll share it in the description on the YouTube. Is it possible to grow your business without putting... Okay, I'll answer that. So any tips on female mentors to teach sisters? That's tough because obviously I've never had a female mentor. Honestly, that's a tough question. I don't know. I think the biggest problem, I would say, a generic advice I would give, it's very important for us to make sure that we are being mentored by the right people because business is an extremely complicated area in terms of Islamic principles, and you'll be surprised how quickly you can end up doing something which is not permissible. How quickly you can end up doing something which is not permissible in business. So I think no matter whoever you're learning from, just make sure that whatever you're doing, you're getting it checked as well. And there are many narrations on making sure that when you're doing business, you understand the fiqh of doing business. So I would say definitely look at that before even doing or starting a business or having mentors. From an Islamic perspective, where do we draw the line when networking and building relation with the opposite gender? I cannot answer that question. That's not for me to answer. Minimum, nothing is what I would say to that. But I can't say anything on that. Any general tips for women? Any general tips for women? It's gonna go on TikTok now, and I'm gonna get abused. I'm gonna start doing lectures with Akhi Ayman then, and then. Subhanallah. No, I'm just joking. What I would say to the sisters is this. As a married man, I understand that without my woman, without my wife, I wouldn't be able to run my businesses. I wouldn't be able to, look, I'll give you an idea. I'm flying to Dubai on Tuesday, inshallah. I'm flying to Pakistan on Thursday, inshallah. I'm going on business trips. My wife is looking after my child. I am fully confident that she's doing a good job. My wife supports me massively in the roles that she does. Massively. I would not be able to make the sort of money I make today if it wasn't for my wife. She watches this, she's going to send it to me, but I will say that for the sisters, whatever you're doing, if you're doing your hustles, you're doing your business, whatever you're doing, remember, support your husband. Supporting your husband is massive. And I have seen a few issues in our community and its competition with husbands. It's an issue. His husband's doing this, you're doing this, you brokey, you know? But jokes aside, I would say that I promise the sisters one thing: if they support their husbands and motivate them, men have this tendency to want to do well for their women. Men have this tendency, they always want their women to be happy with them. So I would say that support your husbands and do as much as you can for your husbands, as well as, look, if you want to do your side hustles, do that, but always bear in mind the Islamic principles and the Islamic rulings, and just make sure you're doing it from a Sharia perspective. That's all I'm saying. But always, I'm saying support the husband, man. Because I'm telling you, one of my biggest reasons of success today, alhamdulillah, I got married. I got married the same month I started my recruitment company. Same month. I had £1,000 in my account. I didn't have more than that. But I knew my missus, she didn't really care. Like, today, my missus keeps me humble. I said to my missus, I said, listen, you know when we go to Dubai, right? I'm thinking of getting a Porsche. She's like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you spend so much money on a car? I'm like, all right, then, fine. Now, imagine, listen, I've got those traits. I will happily spend money, but my wife, she's like, listen, why not just do something better with your money? So, women are great guiders and supporters of their men, and when they do it right, that man can achieve a lot, man. That's what I would say. If you are looking to implement your business idea and matter with parents, investors, join. Oh, cheeky. They're trying to do a little shout out there. But I don't, to be honest, I can't. What is it? SV Group. Something about SV Group. So you guys can follow SV Group, whatever, as long as it's permissible. I don't know what it is. So look, my brothers and sisters, barakallah feek. You guys, many of you guys have come from far. If I've said something which is wrong, it is from shaitan. Forgive me for anything that may have upset you. Wallahi, I tell you something, I was in the exact same situation, and I am not some successful person. I'm actually very easy to reach out to. If I say something that benefits you, take it. If I say something which upsets you, forgive me. I guess that's all for today. Barakallah feek. We're going to have a salah now, inshallah. What time is Maghrib here? I would say if anyone obviously wants to make that, obviously it's Friday, you know what I mean? Talk to the people you want to talk to, but reflect as well, reflect. We'll have adhan. Who's doing adhan? Inshallah. Come. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Barakallah feek.
You really from First Gate?
No, bro, no. I'm from High Wycombe, man.
Oh.
Afwan.
Abdul Wahid then.
Oh, sorry. Huh?
Abdul Wahid. One brother called Abdul Wahid, he's from the area. I don't know if you know him though, the white brother.